So I'm going to use some pictures. So can I just sit on the stair and we just kind of do a fairly close-up so that then they can just see the pictures and you don't have to worry about. Oops. There are three. I hope you're having a great day. Pastor Karen here. Just wanted to share a moment of devotional with you. Brought some pictures with me that I want to share with you. The first picture is a picture of two eggs. I have a white egg and I have a brown egg. Many of you have probably eaten white eggs and brown eggs. Now, I can remember a time when people were willing to pay more money for a brown egg than for a white egg. But the reality is, the only difference between a white egg and a brown egg is the color of the shell. Because when you crack it open and you dump it into a bowl, here's what you get. Just two egg yolks. Nothing discernibly different about them. The inside is exactly the same. The outside is a little different, but inwardly, there's nothing different. Eggs. We have them for breakfast. We use them for baking. We do all sorts of things with eggs. Life would be hard without eggs. We need all sorts of eggs. There probably wouldn't be enough if we only had white or we only had brown. We need all of the eggs. Now, I hope you can tell a little bit about where I'm going. Because in our world, we have people of all different colors. There are some who are more white, kind of peachy. There are some who are more brown, and some who are even darker. And there are all shades in between. But we need all of them. And I know that even through this pandemic, we're so worried about isolation and being 6 feet apart that sometimes we neglect some of the other things that are going on in our world. And yet, there's some very important things going on in our world right now. There was a gentleman a couple weeks ago, his name was Ahmad, simply jogging in a neighborhood, and a van with two individuals came up behind him, started an altercation, and they killed him. And I believe part of that was simply because of the color of his skin. That's racism, and that's sin. And that certainly isn't of God. Now, we have talked here in Covenant for so long about being missional and about sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. But being missional is also confronting the sin in our world. And racism is sin. We can't just let it go by. We can't allow people to be killed and hurt because of the color of their skin. We need all people, and all people have been created by God and are equal. Listen to some of these Bible verses. So now I am giving you a new commandment. Love each other, just as I have loved you. You should love one another. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. The world is watching. And it's the church that needs to take the lead in eradicating the sin of racism in our world. Here's some of these other verses from Galatians. For all of you were baptized into Christ, have clothed yourselves with Christ. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. All of us are one in Christ Jesus. There's more happening in our world than just a pandemic. And we can do something about it. We can't let racism happen. We can't let some people be devalued because of the color of skin. We're all the same, and God has created every one of us. So how do we stop it? Well, first we have to confront it. There are some of us who have to realize that we were brought up in ways that when we see somebody of another color of skin, there's something inside of us that creates fear. And there's no reason for that. That very fear has its source in sin. And we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to allow the truth of God to come in and wipe that out, that we can truly love the way God has first loved us. We also have to confront it when we see it. You know, sometimes it's easy just to let the small things go by because we don't want to cause a stir. We don't want to cause a problem. We don't want to get in the way of anything. But being missional, it means being the church where you are. And sometimes being the church where you are means confronting things that are right in front of you. Now, most of the time, it's not as blatant as a van going after somebody who's simply jogging. And I thank God for that, maybe. But sometimes in its subtlety, it's more sinister. Sometimes it can be a look. You know, that kind of rolling of the eyes. Sometimes it can be something that's said even under somebody's breath, not so the other can hear it, but just so that you can hear it. Don't allow that. Stop that when it happens. If you don't know what else to say, simply say, I won't be a part of that. Because in God, all are equal, all are valued, and all are loved. I'm telling you, most of the time it'll shut it down. And sometimes we don't want to think about white privilege, but it's real. Not because we want it to be, but because it's in our culture. And so it's up to us who have that white privilege to step in and stop when we see the racism. To stop in and seek the presence of God. To have that understanding of how we value one another, love one another, and step in when somebody has been hurt and devalued. Whether it's by action or by word or even by thought. Confronted in the grace and the truth of Jesus Christ. For we are called to love one another. And that's how the world will know that we truly are the disciples of Jesus Christ. I pray for Ahmad's family and all that they're going through in his loss. And I pray even more that there will be a day when something like that will never happen again. Let us be the church. Let's be missional. Let's stop racism. Amen.